Okay, Donald, you want to open as the founder, then give it to Gusti after that?
Okay, welcome everyone to Brewers. We have our motto, cultivating a passion for lifelong learning. So we want to be a learner for a lifetime and with a passion. So cultivating a passion for lifelong learning. For today, our moderator is Gusti. Please, Gusti.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, today we will listen to the presentations about 4 books, yeah. And the first presenter will be Mr. Donald, The Coming Wave by Mustafa Sulaiman. Okay, Mr. Donald, the time is yours.
Okay, Gusti, thank you for the time. Maybe you can put the questions in the chat again for everyone to see. I already have it here.
I have put the questions in the first before the title of the books.
He wasn't here yet. I think
Oh
he's
yeah.
in on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first question will be
It's okay. I have it. I have it here.
yeah.
Thank you, Gusti.
Okay.
So the first question is, what's the title of the book and what is it about? Please give us brief summary of the book.
Yes.
So the title of the book that I would like to present is The Coming Wave by Mustafa Sulaiman. Mustafa Sulaiman is a co-founder of DeepMind. DeepMind is an AI company. The other co-founder is actually more famous, Denis Hanabis, won the Nobel Prize, I think last year or previous 2 years, but the other co-founder is the author of this book. And what is it about? It is about the coming wave, and the coming wave is the coming great civilization Seka, if I will say. That is what is called wave in this case. And that consists of two main technologies. The first one is AI, artificial intelligence, and the second one is synthetic biology. And this book is about the impact of this coming wave and about how to contain this coming wave. And it is not in the question but I would like to share why I chose to read this book, because this is a book that is recommended by Bill Gates. Bill Gates said that when people ask him about AI, how to understand AI and the impact of AI, this is the one book that he recommends. So that's why I chose to read this book. Actually, I read another book about AI that I shared maybe a few months ago by Yuval Harari. The title is Nexus, his newest book. But Bill Gates doesn't recommend that book for AI, but this book. So I read this book. Number two, who is the author? I already mentioned before. He's the co-founder of DeepMind. Now he works for Microsoft as the CEO of Microsoft AI. And what do you know about the author's background? Yeah, so he is an Englishman from Britain, and the background is in computer science, in AI. Actually, there are different layers of AI. This is the newer generations. AI itself is too broad a term, so the newer generation is called machine learning. Number three, why did you decide to read the book? Oh, sorry, yeah, I already answered. And number four, what are your key takeaways from the book? So first, it gives me understanding about the broad picture of history, because he describes that this is not his idea, but he takes from other people, from economists, that there are 24 general purpose technologies in human history, starting from domestication of plants, animals, fire, and so on, up to the electricity, the internet, computer, mass production. There are 24. By general purpose technologies, it means that a technology that changed the way people live. So it is the kind of technology that changed civilization. Only 24 in the entire human history. And these two, AI and synthetic biology, can be described as the 25th and 26th. But just because the technology is a general purpose technology, I will just call it GPT to be short. Just because a technology is a GPT doesn't mean that it will become a wave. The technology will only become a wave if it spreads widely. And this book is about how these two technologies will inspire or open the possibilities of other technologies around these two, and all of this will become a wave that will come later. That's why the title of the book is The Coming Wave. So two core technologies, AI and synthetic biology, but this will inspire other technologies. And he explained several of them, specifically quantum computing, robotics, nanotechnology, and there are several more. And the other takeaway is the importance of containment. Actually, that is the emphasis of this book, containment. That is, we need to anticipate not just the positive benefit, but also the negative effects of these technologies and contain them before it is too late. That is actually the main purpose of the writing of this book. Number 5, what do you like and you don't like from the book? I like the book because it gives me a perspective from history, not just about the recent developments, but the entire history from the beginning to now. And that is quite rare. So from what I read, I can conclude that the author is an avid reader himself, because there are many things. For example, a few months ago, I shared about Vaclav's mill, about how civilization works. There are 4 pillars in society, modern society, plastic, and then some other. And he explained this also. So I conclude that this person is an avid reader. So broad view of history, and then zooming in on the implication in the near future from these two technologies. What I don't like from the book, this is always a hard question for me, and I only focus on the good things. I don't know what I don't like from the book. Number 6, are there any questions from the books that you would like to discuss? No, actually, I'm just inspired, and it helps me see the current trends in the broad picture of history. So that's what I like about this book. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Donald, for your presentation. The theme is complex, especially about the synthetic biology. Maybe we are already familiar with AI, but synthetic biology, this is the first time I heard about it. So, is there anyone of you who wants to ask a question for Mr. Donald?
Oh,
Abhijit?
sorry, Gusti. Before the questions, yeah, I would like to explain what synthetic biology means.
Okay.
It is different from biotechnology. Biotechnology is like you alter seeds so that the seeds will become more productive. But synthetic biology is synthesizing new DNA sequence. So you can do programming on life itself. So this is the term synthesizing. It is different from sequencing. A few years ago, there was a project called Human Genome Project, and the aims is to sequence the DNA. But that is just reading. Synthesizing is writing. So it is different. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, if I'm not mistaken, China does this. Like, do they have a research still in a research progress, or they already success in making human modified
Oh, that was my presentation last month. No, there's different. It was CRISPR technology. It's different from synthetic biology. Synthetic biology, you can adapt whatever other creatures trait and then use that trait applicable to other creature. For example, if you want to make human have fireflies blinking thingy, you can. Theoretically you can. So adapt one trait from one organism, right, Donald? And then apply that to a different organism. Like they try to make is it mammoth or something apa ya? So elephant that has wool, something like that. So that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Merging two traits that's across species.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be from another species. They can write it from scratch because DNA is just one part of it. The other part, and actually these two waves are interconnecting. So AI helps synthetic biology. DNA is not enough for writing. You need to know how the DNA fold. So most of the body consists of protein, and the protein has DNA, but the DNA itself is not enough. You must know how it folds. So it's like there are several letters on the paper, but it doesn't really mean anything unless you know how the letters are sequenced, right? Then it becomes word, and different sequence have different words. And AI helps scientists to find the right fold of the DNA. So it doesn't have to be from another organism. You can create your own fold.
I see.
Is literally playing God, right, Donald? What do you think of that technology when you have the potential of literally come up with a new creature that was not there?
Actually, that is one of the main topic or thesis of the book is that you must contain these kind of technologies because usually throughout history there is something called reference effect, if I'm not mistaken. So unintended consequences. You can calculate all the possibilities of the technology, but usually there are unforeseen consequences. And I think that is especially true with synthetic biology.
But
You
does
might think,
unforeseen consequences have ever stopped us from trying it? Seems
We will
like
never
so
learn.
far we keep on trying it, even though we know there are unforeseeable consequences.
yeah, that's also another aspect of the book. It shows that there are all these incentives. So we need to change the incentives because
Yeah.
the incentive is just profit or state ego. So as every nation has their own ego, you want to become the foremost nation. If these are the only incentives, then there is no containment. So you need to balance the incentives.
Okay. I once I once read just a glimpse about a project Chimera. Is it about, included in the synthetic biology? So it's like combine the DNA of human with animal. I forgot what kind of animal they plan to combine, but it's related to regeneration ability. Yeah, Project Chimera. Chimera.
And the question is,
Uh, is it included in synthetic biology? As like it, yeah. Is it an example of synthetic biology?
I think so, based on your description, but
Hmm.
the author doesn't explain too much. He spends more time on AI because he is an AI person.
More in AI, yeah.
Yeah, he is a co-founder of DeepMind. DeepMind is the maker of Gemini. If you use Google Gemini, the competitor of ChatGPT,
Mhm.
DeepMind is the company behind it, and he is one of the co-founders. So he is not a biology person actually, but AI person.
Okay.
So now that AI is able to break the code, like what you said just now, and that is even considered a very difficult code, you know, deciphering the code of DNA. Do you think that in this world right now, we will still be able to have any secret at all, like classified document, or seems like AI can open any password, can hack into any system. So does the book talk about how the future of privacy or classified information with the AI's help to open it?
Actually, I cannot break passwords because passwords are designed to be cryptographically secure, so mathematically secure. AI cannot break it. They make it secure with mathematical proof. But there is one other technology besides these two that can potentially endanger that thing. And this technology is quantum computing. So he mentioned 2GPT, general purpose technologies, but there are several technologies around these two. One of them is quantum computing, and quantum computing could theoretically speed up the computer with many order of magnitude, like 1 million times faster, 1 billion times faster, and this could endanger even mathematically secure codes. So not AI itself, but something else, quantum computing. But quantum computing is still very early, and it's still very far away from fruition at this point in time.
After reading the whole book, can you conclude whether most of the con- content content of the book is mostly positive or negative? Is it worrying or is it comforting about AI?
First of all, I don't read the whole book. It's just the important parts of it. And I think the author tries to balance over optimism because people in AI are very optimistic about the future. So he tries to temper the optimism. He's not someone who is negative. I don't think anyone who works in the frontier of AI has negative view of AI. He simply wants to reduce the optimism to say to people, please slow down a bit and think about the consequences of what we are doing, something like that. So very positive, but try to slow down a bit to think about possible negative consequences.
Okay.
Maybe any question from Chris or Fajar?
There any other possibility of that negative possibilities in the future other than that biology and then other than that?
So other than AI and biology,
Uh,
well,
And what are the other bad effects,
mm,
possible bad effects, Donald?
okay. So if the question is about from outside of AI and synthetic biology, then the main danger is climate change. It is also mentioned in the book, and also energy, because even when you usually the author quotes Václav Smil, another favorite author of Bill Gates, that even though we say that we are transitioning to clean energy, actually the clean energy itself is depending on infrastructure that is built on fossil fuel. So you say you use clean energy, electric vehicle and so on, but the infrastructure to support that are still built on fossil fuel. So in the book, it is mentioned that in the last 50 years, maybe with the campaign of clean energy, the consumption of fossil fuel only reduced from 87%. I remember these numbers because this is surprising to me. Only reduced from 87% of energy consumption down to 84%. So despite all the fanfare, only 3% reduction.
Okay, any other question?
Okay, I want to ask something. Donald is in the book is talking a lot about AI and also synthetic biology, and I think it's for the people that are working in those fields. But does the author also give us as layperson the suggestions or the tips to how do we face this future world with AI and also synthetic biology? What should we do as normal people? Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for the question. As normal people, what we should do is we need to understand the magnitude of this coming wave. So most people maybe do not grasp just how significant the change will be for our world. And I would like to connect this with another book, Nexus from Yuval Harari. He mentions that the magnitude of change is great for this one. And one of the dangers is the social upheaval. This is not in this book, but in Nexus. Social upheaval, because many people may lose their jobs. So number one characteristic that people need to have, ordinary people need to have, according to Yuval, is flexibility. That is the one word. You need to have flexibility to adapt to new things, to learn something new, because it changes all the time. It is not mentioned specifically in the book by Mustafa Sulaiman. I think he takes it for granted because he is in AI and it changes very fast. So I think he doesn't say it very explicitly because he assumes everybody who reads this understands just how fast things are. But it is mentioned by Yuval because Yuval is a historian, different background, right? Mustafa is an IT person, AI person. Yuval is a historian, so he can see how fast this change is compared to other changes in history. And because of the speed, his conclusion is that the one trait that we need is flexibility.
Okay, Donald, maybe one last question from me. How fast is the change of AI going to be? I mean, is it going? I mean, even ChatGPT already create so many changes, and what will happen in the next maybe 10 or 20 years, at least from what you know?
Yeah, thank you, Fajar. This book is published in 2023, and there are several things written in the book that says, in the future, AI should be able to do this and this, and those things already happen. So as I read this book, the things that he talked about as aspiration actually already happens. For example, one of the things that he said, AI should be able to explain how it reasons itself to give the conclusion, and that already happened. There are reasoning models these days. All the top models, they can give reasonings. So it's fast because several things mentioned as aspiration already happened today. He also says one of the other danger is hallucination. So the AI can give incorrect facts. It is ideal if the AI can give the sources so that the person who reads it can check by themselves. And that already happened. When you get the answer now, you get the link to the original sources. So there are things mentioned in the book as aspiration already happened today. So I think it is quite fast, and it could be faster than expected. I don't know how to define fast. Maybe you can give me some parameters of what you mean fast, and I can give more specific about how fast. Because fast is very relative. I do not know how to describe it.
Okay. Yeah. The problem of AI's hallucination is really complex. Yeah. Well, I imagine that well, like many people use AI because they are too lazy to think, right? Like maybe to write information, and then I imagine that years later, internet, Google websites will be flooded by informations written by AI. So it's like it will be really difficult to differentiate whether the information is true or not. So yeah, this is really wow complex, and I think well because of this meeting, I become more like more conscious about that. Uh, Understanding AI is really important. Yeah. So okay. Thank you for Mr. Ronald. So if there
We
is
just
no other
sorry, Miss B.
question, and because it's already 20 minutes, 20 minutes, we will move to Mbak Bipit. Yeah, the book Brexit. Okay, Mbak Bipit
Donald
will
wanted to say
repeat.
something earlier.
Yeah, just a short comment. Actually, the advance of AI is magical because I have background in computer science. It is unimaginable that computer can say something coherent like this, or can generate images, or can generate music. And all this just come from two different points, and you change the number between these 2 points. It requires hundreds of billions of points, and then you change the numbers, and the AI can do something magical. So it's actually magical because computer cannot understand or see what humans see. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Donald. Mbak Bipit, are you ready?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for the information about AI. It's it changed the world overnight when it was introduced like what, 2 years ago? I think ChatGPT, right? I remember it was December 2023 or so.
November 30th, 2022.
2022, yeah, November. It was crazy. Like we lost a lot of jobs at the same time. Journalists, copywriters, even teachers. So yeah, no one is safe. I think the opening of Yuval Harari's book, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, is really haunting and resonating with me. The opening for that chapter, it says, kids in the future, you may not have jobs. I think that's the intro, and it still resonates with me until now. Okay. So right. So now it's my turn. Actually, I plan to talk about the book Witness to History Hiroshima, but then I'm on a trip right now and I forgot to bring the book, and all of the notes actually inside it. So right now I'm reading the book called Britain After Brexit. I don't have the book with me, but I took a note of the content or the summary in my Google Word, Google document. I mean, so it's easy for me to just read it off. And I haven't finished reading this. I started reading it like around 10 days ago. The reason is because there will be two upcoming debate competitions called Dogsbridge, Dorchester, Oxford, and Cambridge. That's the first one. And second one is the American System Debate and NHSDLC. And both of them have a motion related to Brexit. So I don't know why it's such a pure coincidence, but one is somehow suggesting about how what is it called? The UK should rejoin EU, right? And then the other one is talking about how the UK should do, I think, vote of no confidence. The one about Boris Johnson and Theresa May, who got vote of no confidence after the Brexit. Yeah, so it's very complicated topic, but anyway. So that's the reason why I started reading this book. I got it for free from the internet. The writer freely shared it. I know Donald is against pirating, book piracy, but this book is actually um, open for downloading for academic purpose. Open for downloading for academic purpose. Okay, so far I have only read around 94 pages, and maybe several things that I found shocking is that the EU itself has not just started in 1990s, actually started in the year 1973. So we just heard about European Union in the 1990s, right? But actually, the brainchild of this EU started in 1973. It's called European Economic Community. Now, Britain was already happy with that European Economic Community, but then they were a little bit surprised when suddenly this EU expanded itself from just an economic cooperation, suddenly became a union that also decide a lot of things together as if they were one country, basically. And it affects many different fields of life. And this is something that the United Kingdom minded that time. So they wanted to be specifically related to EU on the economic level, like economic cooperation, things like that. But they do not want to somehow expand the cooperation to other fields. And the one that pulled the last straw in this Brexit was one of the reasons why they wanted to get out of the EU is because EU wanted to form a EU military now. And this is something that UK was strongly against, right? Because I don't know, for many different reasons, I guess. So they started feeling losing the sovereignty or the right to decide what's best for their country. Uh, maybe everyone not surprised that Brexit actually happened when UK started to pull out or decided to pull out of EU, because they did not even choose to adopt the euro currency, right? From that point alone, we know that UK was already half-hearted in joining EU. UK is so proud of their currency, pound sterling. They say it's a historic, one of the oldest currencies in the world. So they don't want to lose that. And then second one, they don't want to abide to the European visa system. So if it's EU, you just need one visa and then you can visit any countries. UK is strongly against that. So they never use EU visa. And that's actually one of the biggest reason that made people angry that time, is because EU started to allocate its members. They have to take in refugees and immigrant basically. So they did like a point system allocation. For example, they decide Germany will take 80,000 this year, UK will take 60,000, and Italy will take blah blah blah. While the UK is known to be very strict about their immigration system. So once they were given a choice whether they want to stay or they want to follow with the whatever you decide, they chose to leave, basically. Funny enough, the prime minister who decided to promise the public that let's do the referendum. Like in UK, it's quite common for people to vote for a certain policy, in this case referendum, whether to whether to still join EU or leave. Actually, David Cameron was so sure that the majority of people would choose to remain in the EU. So when the fact that actually it was very close, the result of the referendum, 51.9% chose to leave, as opposed to 48.1% choose to stay in the EU. It's very thin margin. And then the day after the announcement, David Cameron resigned because of that. Because he, kalau bahasa Jawanya, kecele gitu ya. Like he thought, he was so sure people would choose to remain, but then the majority of them chose to leave. But funny enough, there are several not disagreement, resentment, because that time, just like David Cameron, a lot of younger generation that time who had just got the right to vote, 18 until 20, they were not really they did not really have experience to vote. So it was like their first time voting, and they did not want to come out of the house to actually vote. So this is generation Z or something that time, we don't know, right? But then the majority of people who voted is actually middle age and above. And this made a lot of them are quote unquote racist, and they were so very British, they don't want to have intervention from other countries culturally, economically, sovereignty, and blah blah blah. That's why the most of the people who voted to leave the EU were actually middle-aged and older people. And a lot of these people never leave their house before, because they live in in a old people's home, right? Like foster care. But they even went out of the foster care to vote, but then the younger people did not want to vote. And then from the recent polling in the year 2023, it says one every six British people who voted to leave, they regret that decision. And then a lot of younger people who had a chance to vote, but they did not vote, they also regret that they did not vote, basically, because it could have overturned the result. And another thing is, oh yeah, what's funny is there are two things. This is the last thing that I'm going to share. It's about Scotland and Northern Ireland. Okay. So I mentioned about Northern Ireland last month, right? This is actually related today, this month as well. So the first one is Scotland. As you know that Scotland voted to had a referendum as well. 2 years before Brexit, 2014, they had a referendum whether to stay, be part of UK, or they wanted to leave the UK and be independent country. It was a very also thin margin of referendum, right? 52% decided to stay with the UK, and then 48 actually leave. Oh, sorry, 48%, yes, became independent. What is funny is in the Parliament of Scotland that time, they decided to still stay with the UK. One of the requirements, one of the conditions is if the UK stay within EU. So Scotland had a requirement, the Parliament of Scotland had a requirement, yes, okay, we approve this voting, we will remain in British territory as long as British is still part of EU. Now that they're no longer part of EU, we don't know, maybe you will expect another referendum very soon related to Scotland, yeah. But that's the funny thing about Scotland. Number two, Northern Ireland chose to stay with EU. Northern Ireland is already a controversial part of UK. If you were with me with my presentation last month about UK, right? So they felt more Irish than British, basically. So if if the UK left EU, there will be a very tight border between Northern Ireland and the main Ireland as a country, right? So they strongly against leaving EU, and to the point that they threatened that if UK leave EU, Northern Ireland will also leave EU, UK, basically. So then that's why the Parliament, British Parliament, House of Commons, they decided to give Northern Ireland special treatment, another special treatment this time. So Northern Ireland still be part of EU until now. So Northern Ireland still have a free trade agreement with EU, technically still part of EU. If you have Schengen visa, you can enter Northern Ireland, even though that's British territory, because it has always been like that in the past. And then if you basically, but the most important thing is actually trading, right? So if you export and import stuff from EU to UK, you have to pay for the tariffs, right? But for Northern Ireland, no tariffs. So that's an exception. And another thing is, however, for Northern Ireland to UK, now they have border. As a consequence of Northern Ireland choose to stay with EU, now Northern Ireland and UK have a border as if they were different country. So you cannot trade without a tariff between UK to Northern Ireland and vice versa. Even with the border checks, they will check your passport even though you're British citizens from Northern Ireland to UK and vice versa. So I think that's what interesting in this thing. But then a lot of pro and cons, such as the trade volume of UK significantly reduced after leaving EU. They not only they reduce in the volume of the trade, and that caused the GDP drop by 4%, and 4% of the UK GDP is actually a lot of money. But also the variety of products that the UK used to produce, now they no longer produce it because most of the demands come from EU, and EU do not want to buy it from the UK anymore because of the tariffs. So economically, I think UK is not doing well after leaving EU, but the immigration wise, they're doing well. But even though with this economic downturn of UK leaving EU, the three main parties in the UK, none of them want to talk about another referendum, whether they should rejoin EU. So I think no one want to bite the bullet in this case because it will be an embarrassment like David Cameron when you offer something, but as it turned out, the result and your expectation are totally different. So that's the current what I have read so far until page 94 in this book. Thank you.
Okay. Brexit, yeah. Okay, well, I remember that when Brexit happened, it becomes like internet sensational jokes because some people will vote, they don't even really know what they're voting. So like they think they vote for Brexit because they think it's funny. Is it right? Was it right?
No, a lot of them were misguided. They thought like it's like the US, like the aliens take our job situation. So the campaign was very racist. Like after joining EU, now UK had a lot of immigrants, particularly from Eastern Europe, to come to their country and then be cheap labor. So I think, and a lot of them became racist. Like they want to keep British British. They don't want multiculturalism and something like that. So that was the one of the misleading.
Tadi nggak lancar itunya, putus-putus.
Is it really? Is it me or Gusti?
Yang lainnya lancar.
Now we can hear it well. We can hear it.
It's you, girl.
It's me then. Oh my God, yeah. Sorry. Okay. Are there any questions for Mbak Pipit about Brexit?
Okay, maybe a little bit different question. You mentioned that this topic is used as topic for debate for your student, right? Yeah. The question is, how to make those very young students actually care about this topic? Because I feel like this is like very adult theme, let's say. They don't really give a damn about international politics. So actually, I'm kind of curious, how do you encourage them to really care about this topic?
You don't have to care about certain topic to be able to debate on it. We have debated on many different topics. Something that actually, like in the Federal Reserve in the US, or build a colony on Mars, which is like Elon Musk wanted to do something like it's maybe another 100 years. So I think the students are not in it for the interest. They're in it to battle it out, battling who knows more and how to implement a lot of the techniques in debate, such as information asymmetry, like try to hide a certain information and present the narrative in a different way than the actual reality, something like that. So all of these things. So yeah, we're used to it. Yeah, I used to debate about I had to defend ujian nasional and I lost because I was strongly against it. So yeah, but anyway, we're used to it.
Yeah, I have a question.
By the way, Gusti was a debater too, Fajar. Yes, Donald.
Long ago.
So first of all, about not Brexit, but the formation of European Union. I think in Europe there are many proud countries. You mentioned that the British pound sterling is one of the oldest currencies in the world, but I think the German are also proud about the Deutschmark. So what is the difference psychologically maybe between these two nations that make the Germany still stays with the EU until now, despite the reputation to be very disciplined and very strict about money. They have to deal with Greece because if you are in the EU, you have to absorb the bad behavior of some countries, right? But if you are outside of the EU, you don't care. You don't have to obey the central bank. So what is the difference between these two countries? All both of whom are proud, I think, about their countries, but they have different behavior regarding EU.
I think it's very different because despite UK being a very rich country, but it's not as industrialized as Germany. So Germany is very industrialized in automotive, for example, like technology. I think we know about it. It's more industrialized than the UK. And Germany was one of the initiators, actually, of EU because they wanted to expand their consumers. So EU is the number one country who benefit the most from EU is actually Germany. Because after the introduction of Euro and Germany, the trade neraca perdagangan, the trade balance between EU between Germany and the surrounding EU countries were totally imbalanced. So if you were familiar that Greece experienced economic downturn several years ago, almost declared bankrupt, right? Because they bought too much stuff from Germany that only uh, sold very little. So it's very trade imbalance. And even though with this trade imbalance, that signal supposed to signal there's something wrong with the economy, but then the euro itself is stable. So Greece and Spain also was in the brink of bankruptcy, right? Their economy was actually not doing well because of the trade balance is actually very steep, but then their currency is stable because they choose to adopt euro. If only they had their own currency, this will tell you that you are sick, basically. Like Indonesia, our rupiah dropped so bad is because our trade balance is very steep, right? We're negative, I think. So they don't have that indicator anymore that they're not doing well economically. That's why in the brink of bankruptcy. Yeah. So Germany is the one who benefits the most from EU. Yeah. Economically.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe just a little comment, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think there are other indicators like unemployment. I think the unemployment rate is very uneven between these countries.
Yes, unemployment rate as well. But then, funny enough, is according to proponents of Brexit, these British territories have been inundated with immigrants from Eastern Europe taking their jobs and blah blah blah, right? But after Brexit was implemented, they were struggling to find the replacements. Like no one wanted to be truck drivers. Actually, on the brink of Brexit, I was in the UK at that time. There was shortage of fuel everywhere because they could not find enough truck drivers who drove fuel trucks all across the country. So to the point that should we change our mind? They said like they regret it immediately. Or the employees from the NHS, National Health System, most of them are actually from Europe. So from Europe Union, I mean. So I think it was too sudden, even though they had a time frame between 2017 until 2019, which was 3 years to adapt to the current situation. But even with these 3 years, they could not find enough people to fill in the jobs in the UK that used to be held by European Union members or citizens.
Okay. Okay.
I feel like the UK should heal their own economy first to the point that their own citizenship are willing to take those low-paying job, I guess.
Yeah, like the US now, right? No one picked
Yeah.
the harvest.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they're rotten on the plants. Like the US is so used to get paid hourly, but the immigrants are paid by field, they have to pick, for example, pick, I don't know, strawberries, the whole field will be paid like, say, $100. So it doesn't matter. It takes them 48 hours, something like that. And no one wants to be paid that low. It's a race to the bottom. So UK experienced the same thing. No one wants to be the janitor in the UK. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So they need immigrants to do the low jobs they don't want to, but they hate immigrants because they feel like they floated over their countries.
Yeah, but then it's right here. They hate immigrants if they become, flooding the country or even become the burden of the economy. But then they also hate immigrants if the immigrants become successful too. So it's like, what do you want? If they become successful, you're jealous. But if they're not successful, you think of them as a burden of the economy. It's like, I don't know.
Being racist is so complex, yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Okay. Okay. Any other question? No? Okay. Okay, so we can.
Gusti, sorry, can we take photo first? Because I have to go at 1. I will
Okay.
listen, but then I won't be able to be stationary. My
Okay.
lunchtime, the outing is finished. Is it possible to post with a book, guys? Are we expecting a math book from Fajar?
Now he use healing book.
Okay. Like I'll do it gini aja deh. Okay? Terindra, we cannot see it. Put it in front of your body. Yeah.
Is it just a book? Any book?
Any book, yeah. Any book.
Ini random book.
Random book.
Oh, Chakra.
Okay? Oh, Chris? Ready? How to tell stories? Okay. 1, 2. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Okay, so now we can move to the last presenter of the day, Verindra. Mr. Verindra, the Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. Okay. Mention what's the title of the book and then give us a brief summary of the book. This is the first question.
Okay. Okay. Afternoon, everyone. Can you guys hear my voice clearly?
Yes,
Okay.
clearly.
I think today I will share some slides that I have prepared. Oh, is it allowed to share screen here?
Donald, I made you the host. Can you allow screen sharing? Thank you.
Yeah, already.
Yep. Okay. So for today, I will share the book that I've been reading for a few last months. Yeah, it's quite many pages, and I just finished it a few days ago. The title is The Anxious Generation, written by Jonathan Haidt around 2024. It has the subtitle How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness. Yeah, since yesterday asked to share about the writers, here's the writers: Jonathan Haidt, a social psychologist at New York University Stern School of Business, got his PhD from UPenn at 1992. Also got another bestseller books named The Righteous Mind. I think it's quite famous. Then yeah, how I found this book is when I watched one of the Gita Wirjawan podcasts, The Endgame, with Dr. Tirta. And I think Pak Gita mentioned it first, this book title, and turns out that Tirta also read it, just finished reading it, and they said this is a good book and recommended to read. So I choose to read this book for next. So here's the brief summary. This book mostly talk about the declining of the rewiring of the childhood. The first phase is decline of the play-based childhood, and then the next phase is the rise of phone-based childhood. So the great rewiring is the shifting from the first phase, the play-based childhood, and moving to the current phase, which is the phone-based childhood. And he found that the shifting leads to a dramatic increase in anxiety, depression, self-harm, and suicide rates among kids and mostly adolescents, especially girls, since the early 2010s. But while the girls got more anxiety and depression cases, boys also suffer from several risks. And the writer mentioned the term is fail to lunch, which means the boys fail to get some proper education, proper hard skills to prepare themselves for a future like career or something else. Because there are several things like porn addiction, video games, and something else. So actually, it's not a zero-sum games between girls and boys. Even though the girls is suffering from the mental health issue, while the boys also suffering from the other issue, the the lack of skills. And then lastly, the writers mentioned about the fundamental harms, which he mentioned four. So there are four fundamental harms that the writer mentioned in this book. It's actually the opportunity cost behind the smartphone feature. You guys must have heard of the terms there is no such thing as freelance. So even though the social media or the smartphone features are mostly free, but there are few hidden costs, the opportunity costs behind it. And the four costs or the four fundamental harms are sleep deprivation, social deprivation, attention fragmentation, and lastly is the addiction. Yeah, this one also one of the reason I enjoy reading this book. It's this provide us some facts and graphic statistics that could back his claims. He even put all the finding, all the resource into online website. I think he has his personal website which he attached this URL. I found it online, so I think I can share it later if you guys interested. You can find all the charts and graphics that he put inside his book. I just want to show a few of the sample. Some sample is this one in from the U.S. National Survey on Drug Use and Health, the anxiety prevalence by age. He highlighting the year between 2010 until 2015 here. There's a significant increase. So the line is not linear anymore. The I think the coefficient is starting to increase around here, which is the finding of smartphone, the front-facing camera, the like button in Facebook. Maybe Facebook or Twitter has been found before 2010, but if I'm not mistaken, the book also mentioned that the like and follow or comments or retweet button just found 2010 afterwards. So that was one of the factor that he assumed causing this data. The self-harm episodes, the high psychological distress, the girls significantly higher, and also the girls significantly increasing more rather compared to the boys. And then the key takeaways. So after the writer explained all the finding, all the risks and the theory, he also give some takeaways that the reader can learn or can do to avoid this risk more further. The first one is to encourage free play and independence, which could develop multiple skills like social skill, survival, and activate the discover mode. In the earlier chapter of this book, the writer mentioned about two modes in the kids, the discover mode and the defensive mode. Where when the discover mode see any risk as an opportunity, the other modes, the defensive mode, if I'm not mistaken, see all the risk as a threat. So they tend to avoid it. Well, the discover mode tend to find any opportunity behind the risk. Encourage free play and independence. Even the writer also mentioned that the parents should expose their kids to danger as early as possible. Yeah, they could stimulate the any defensive mechanism from the individual. Then the other key takeaways is the delaying smartphones or social media until high schools. In this age, we can assume that kids are ready and mature enough to engage with any legal virtual interaction. As we know, even any kids are legal to drive motorcycle or cars in this age, 16 or 17, but sometimes they forget to also apply this same rule into virtual world. So nowadays parent tends to be overprotective in the real world, but they did not protect anything on the virtual world, which actually got the same or even bigger risk compared to the real world. Then phone-free schools, becoming a playful schools, better playground facilitate any extra activities or technical training. So the suggestion that he provided is actually a collective action, not only for parents but also schools, government, and society. So yeah, it took a village to raise kids, right? Then lastly, the things I found interesting and questionable in this book. The interesting is, yeah, the one that I shared earlier, that the mental health really shifted sharply after smartphone adoption, even more social media. And if the chart shift the years more, actually, maybe we can see another increasing when the pandemics. There must be increase there, I believe. And also the gender differences. The girls suffer from social media, tends to get anxiety and depression, while the boys suffer from porn addiction, video games, tend to get lack of skill, education, unemployment. Maybe in Indonesia, the mostly relatable case is illegal online gambling, the judo. That one also the epidemics in Indonesia. Then the questionable things I found is this book is, can we actually point out a smartphone and social media as the main or single factor that causing this the rewiring, the great rewiring, or is there any other factor? Because this book, I think I read this book only point out this to the smartphone and the social media. And then are the solution that the hate provided, that the hate suggested is really feasible and applicable for us in Indonesia. Yeah, I think that's all that I prepared for sharing. So maybe if you guys have any question or something to discuss, or maybe you can answer these two questions that raised in my head after reading this book. Please
Okay.
share. Thank
Okay.
you.
I have a question. Well, my battery last.
Hmm.
So I'm curious about the relationship between the use of phone and then the anxiety for the girls and then maybe the addiction for the boys. I feel like it's like a correlation, right? The correlation between the mental health issue and also the use of phone. But is there any causation, let's say? Because I feel like it's still a correlation, but is it really
Not
causation?
causation. Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. What the writer mentioned here is in girls suffering from mental health, especially anxiety and depression, because they tend to compare themselves with the others from the social media. So yeah, maybe before smartphone or social media exists, they don't have any references from outside of their area, their circle, their schoolmates or their family. They don't have any references to that. But after the smartphone, we can connect to a wider circle, wider society, right? So yeah, that's the writer mentioned, comparing themselves to others in social media. They try to show the perfect version of themselves, mostly for the girls. Yeah, they want to look perfect in any standards, which actually we could not. There's no such term as perfect in any society. Right? There's no standard, the same standard for different society, different circle. Yeah, that what the writer mentioned is because they tend to compare themselves with other social media user. They want to look as perfect as the others. That's the anxiety and depression. And also the writer mentioned the like button, so they tend to get more likes. So whenever they post and they get more likes, mean they get appreciation, yeah, something like that. They really thirst for appreciation from their social media followers, something like that. But the boys instead, yeah, the porn and video games now can be easily get since smartphone and internet nowadays, so they can get it easily. Maybe previously they need to get like CD or something more, need more effort to get access to either porn or video games. But nowadays, since their smartphone, they can get it anywhere, anytime. Yeah, that's the correlation that the writer mentioned. So the easy to access and the wider connection, wider society, wider circle.
Mm. I once watched a video in Japan about hikikomori, like those
Yeah, yeah.
who doesn't want to go out from their house,
Mm,
and the video specifically talk about the girls, like more girls become hikikomori because they are not confident with their face. And in Japan, the society tend to close their face with mask, right? Because not only for health reason, but also for because they don't feel confidence with their face. Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. This book also mentioned that hikikomori terms in Japan, which
Ah, I
means
see.
pulling inwards. But this mentioned when they explain about the boys who fail to
Oh,
land, so they tend to pull inward. They don't want to socialize, just stay in their room and just maybe playing game or yeah any
hmm.
other activity.
Yeah. I have a question. Like, the writer, one of the writer suggestion is to expose the children to danger in early age, so to activate their defensive mechanism. What does it mean, and what kind of danger is safe enough to be exposed to the children?
Yeah. It's interesting that he mentioned it because he says that any individual is actually learning from their environment. So when they find how can I explain it? Like when they maybe when the baby facing when the baby exposed to not really harmful germs or something, they can develop their own antibody, something like that. The one of the things that he mentioned is this, but I think he did not specifically mention how
Uh,
how dangerous the danger can be exposed to the kids. Just what he means is we don't really need to overprotect the children.
uh,
Yeah, to expose like but don't really need to be sterile, something like that. It's the writer says it's not,
uh,
yeah, the writer's opinion, something like that. To expose so the
like
kids from since the baby they can develop their antibody, something like that.
let the children play in the mud or under the rain,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
maybe let them learn to swim, something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I see, I
they
see.
will develop
Okay.
their own skill or the cellular maybe cellular level development, yeah, to be more robust or more have more antibody to any danger, any exposure.
Mm, okay.
Yeah.
Again, other question. This topic is really interesting, especially if you are parents or teacher. Yeah.
I think I would love to. Hi, Gusti. Hi, everyone. So,
Hi.
Karindra,
Hi.
thank you very much,
Mhm.
first of all, for sharing this one. I think it's very nice. As I'm teacher myself, I think that I would love to ask on these particular things. Encourage pre-play and independency. So it's about how kids nowadays actually
Mhm.
they compare themselves more towards the social media
Mhm.
user, and how are we going to actually indulge this in this kind of society, as we are knowing that kids nowadays they are too attached with their phone. And yeah, to detach this very moment, uh is the book has something to offer on the table about these particular things, probably. Yeah.
Uh, Let me recall again. Actually, I think that's why the writer mentioned that it needs a collective action. So I think it won't be feasible if we detach our kids, but the other kids around him around them is not are not that detached. So they still playing with their own smartphone. So what will our kids do? They will also maybe they are curious why their friend are watching their smartphone, but I don't have any. Yeah, I think that's also a challenge if this action is not doing collectively. So that's why it needs a collective action. Also, the writers mentioned repeatedly about the school rules of phone-free schools. That one also can be one of the tools how we can detach the kids from smartphone. So when they are in their schools, they are fully doing any real world activity. So maybe when they come home, they will sharing with their parents, or maybe they can demo they can share what they are doing in their school with their parents, so they will slowly forget their smartphone. Yeah, but I think there's no really, or maybe I just forget what if there's any particular steps that the writer mentioned, but I don't think he have any like specific and applicable solution for it. He just suggests the parents to try to detach your kids from the phone and uh, uh, ex just spend more time to your kids, because maybe a lot of parents are both are working nowadays. So the writers also mentioned to spend more time with the kids, so the kids will develop the real world uh, real world interaction more than with the smartphone. Yeah, because that one also the reason in maybe that I found in here in my family, I think so they tend to give smartphone to their kids because they are busy with their own jobs. Yeah, something like that. It's like I think it's a quite a common case nowadays. So yeah, that's quite a challenge that the writers did not mention.
Thank you.
Okay. Does the book mention about like is there any country or region that is successfully apply a role?
No, no, not yet.
So there is no example.
No real world sample of
Mm.
yeah, no real world sample of the success story for this. He even mentioned several country for the data, right? For the Nordic, US, UK. So it shows that it's a global issue, and yeah, need a collective action for it.
Because I question about like maybe China, yeah. I once heard China start to make a rule about the use of phone and internet for the kids. But,
Hmm.
I question is if we apply it in Indonesia, like even if the government make a rule for our society, how can we monitor that the rule is really apa ya benar-benar dijalankan gitu.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's quite hard because to it's something like micromanaging stuff. Can
Yeah,
we could not apply same as driving license. Even driving license that government have a strict rule about it. There's still uh, a lot of underage kids already driving without their license, right?
yeah,
So yeah, how about the smartphone? I think it's hard, even harder for the government. Really
yeah,
needs collective, especially from the parents itself.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Mm.
Well, in many schools, especially in Islamic boarding school like pesantren,
Mm.
they usually uh, ban the phone.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
when the students are inside the Islamic boarding school, they can use phone at all. So they can access the phone after in holiday. But this
Mm.
also have like counter effect, like have a side effect because they cannot access the phone for such a long time, like maybe 6 months. Once they get a phone, they will just really attach to it. So like in holiday, when I ask my students like, what do you do in your holiday? HP-an, they always say like that. like
Yeah.
seems like they don't have nothing to do, no other thing to do besides attaching to their phone, something like that.
Yeah, that's also the challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a question. Thank you, Farindra, for sharing the book.
Mhm.
Maybe this is related to the book that I shared last week,
Mhm.
Stolen Focus,
Oh,
which is
Mm.
about adults. So the effect about not being able to focus, and I think it is mentioned as attention. There is a term in your slide, attention something,
mhm.
and which
Oh,
is
attention fragmentation.
yeah, attention fragmentation.
Mm.
Does the book mention about the effect and how to handle the effect for adults, not just
Mm.
childhood?
Oh, yeah. This one is the four fundamental harms, right? Yeah. This one, the attention fragmentation means the attention span is gets shorter, right? Yeah. I think the writers don't mention about the solution for it, especially for adults. He just wait, let me recall again. He just mentioned the sample of the attention fragmentation, but not providing any suggestion, specific suggestion for these harms actually. So yeah, it's kind of it's harms that has been done chronically, uh, not just a short time of using smartphone and social media, but after using smartphone and social media for quite a long time, then they get this harm. So yeah, the solution may be also not that instant solution. The similar solution is to detach from ourselves from the virtual worlds. Yeah, that's solution that he mentioned. I think uh, could also benefit us and reduce the risk from these harms because the causes from for these harms also not an instant cause. So the solution is also not instant solution. So after we detach it slowly, maybe we can get better sleep, get better social relation, our focus, our attention get longer, or our focus get better, and can get less addiction. Yeah, that one, that's the result of detaching ourselves from smartphone. So there's no actually instant solution that the writer mentioned.
Okay.
Thank you. Maybe if I can share a thought,
Yeah,
this is
yeah, sure.
related from the book that I read last
Mm,
month. Maybe one thing that we can do that, and we are doing, is to read
mm,
books.
Yeah.
Because reading books is
mm.
the opposite of this. Smartphone offers quick dopamine, so we
Yeah,
get quick.
Mm.
Dopamine is the hormone. But
yeah.
if you read books, you must focus for a long time to get the reward. So this is focus training actually. Yeah, just a brief thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm. And as a teacher, maybe we can recommend more interesting books for the students. As a teacher, we can make like a questionnaire, like what do you want to be in the future, like and what lesson are you interested in school, so we know apa ya, the interest of the students, and after that we can recommend some books, or maybe lend them the books that related to their interests, and then give them some more assignments, like reviewing books for additional score, something like that. Yeah. And because one of my students, when I give them, when I give her assignment to review books, she review Bumi Manusia by Pramoda Anantatur, and she was only in ninth grade, and I was like, wow, you're still in junior high school, but you already read Bumi Manusia. How can you know about this book? And then she said, like, I know this from TikTok, and I was like, wow. TikTok give you information about Pramoda Anantatur, and I was like so surprised. So yeah, maybe if we can like search about book influencers that is popular with kids and recommend it to them. So like even though they are they are accessing their phone, they access the right sources and the safe sources. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Mr. Christopher, do you have any question maybe?
Yeah. Okay. Hi, Verindra. I want to
Hi.
ask something regarding the companies that is behind all the social media and also the you mentioned about the game industry and also the porn industry. I mean, if the if we see that sometimes when we go to like a restaurant, we want to get like the promotion, we are forced to they will ask us like please download our app or please follow our social media to get our promo or comment or like that is all I think our ecosystem is right now focused on building each of our social medias. I'm not talking about influencers, but also companies are pouring a lot of money into their social media. And thus, the author in this book tells us something about how the big companies are also affecting the addiction for the kids by putting social media into their minds, not just for fun, but during our everyday activity. I think people are now battling in a sense that kids are told to just get into social media and you'll get some benefits. What do you think about that? And maybe what's the takeaway from the author about regarding about the companies or the parties that support this kind of thing? Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for asking. Oh yeah, that one quite interesting because yeah, I just realized that the writers don't mention, I mean, don't write particularly about this. He only mentioned the brand like Facebook, Google, Apple, but he I think he did not explain the reason why they building this. He only mentioned that yeah, this is the current business model, right? They like the user because now the earnings they get from how long the user interact, how the engagement from the post or engagement from any advertising, something like that, right? So yeah, we he we could not deny that this is the current business model that widely applied nowadays anywhere globally. So yeah, the writers only mentioned that nowadays business model is tend to make the user attach. I mean, not attach. Tend to make the user interacts more with online activity, like what you just mentioned, social media or how they order at restaurant and how they interact with maybe review in Google Play, something like that. Yeah. That's the nowadays business model, but I think yeah, that's the writer mentioned. But in my own opinion, yeah, we also could not deny the shifting in the business nowadays. That our business go to the online or social media or AI, even now AI with chatbot, something like that. Ordering in restaurant, no need any waiters. We can just look at the menu. There's no more interaction between the customer and the waiters. There's no explanation for the what kind of menu is this, what kind of food or drinks they recommend more. We can just scan the QR and see if there's any thumbs up. It means recommend. If there's any uh, spicy icon, and oh, it's spicy, the spiciness level, yeah. So there's no more interaction from the waiters to the customer more. But yeah, I think we cannot deny that shifting changes, but we what we can do is just how we manage how we manage ourselves outside of the requirements. For example, that if ordering in restaurant, like we really need to use the technology. We need to use the social media maybe to get the promo to find out. That's it. We don't need to attach more like we, for example, like we want to go out to the malls today. We want to see if there's any promo, so we can just open the malls that we want to go and we see the social media. We scroll if there's any promo, then that's it. If the next day we don't want to go to that mall, we don't have to scroll that account anymore. Yeah, that's the thing I think maybe at the least we can do. So we just use it as what we are required to do. Yeah, that's not easy. I understand. I say doesn't mean that I have been successfully applied it in myself. That's in my opinion what we can do and what we cannot deny. We cannot deny the shifting. We cannot deny the technological advancement. But how we can enhance, how we can use it uh, to our benefit. So we don't let ourselves being used by the technology, but how we can use the technology instead to benefit ourselves. We are the subjects. We are always been the subjects, not the object. Yeah, I think that's all my opinion. But the writers again, I will share later if I found any. Maybe I could not recall, but I think there's no specific chapter or specific explanation about the social media. They only mention, oh, in this year the Facebook released the like button that also causing that more dopamines, click dopamines, maybe also causing that issue. And front facing camera was released at specific year. Yeah, that kind of information that the writers mention. Yeah,
Thank you, Parendra.
thank you.
Okay, what was the answer of Mr. Christopher is mentioned in your book, Mr. Donald, the
Oh, the
stolen focus?
stolen focus.
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, Johan Hari blamed the system, blamed or the environment that shaped us into, yeah, into now.
Yes, yes. So from what I hear from Ferinda, this LCD generation is more on the children, on the childhood, and maybe early teens. But the book that I presented last month, Stolen Focus, is about more about adults. And yes, he mentioned a lot about this social media companies, and Ferinda also talk about this. They mention they measure everything by engagement rate.
Yeah.
So the algorithms are designed to be addictive. That's why.
Yeah, so
That's
like
the
they know it's harmful, but they still did it for their profit. Yeah.
Yeah, because everything is measured by metric and they need to increase all these numbers.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So okay, a really interesting and important presentation, Mr. Ferindra, and thank you for your participation here. Today I learned so many things, and then I realized that there are so many things that I need to learn to become more flexible and adaptable in this era. Yeah. Okay. So thank you for your attention today, and we will meet next month. Yeah. At what date?
Maybe Chris or Suryani has book to share.
Me?
Yeah, maybe you want to share a book
Oh.
review. If not, next month is fine.
No, I think I will go with next month, I guess, Donald. Thank you very much. Yeah, because I'm not ready yet.
Yeah, thank you.
Currently, I'm reading like this actually. This one, Paulo Coelho. The title is like the flowing river. Also, the author of The Alchemist. But I've just started it, I guess, so I will be sharing it